Welcome everyone to part 5 of my How to Play Hearts of Iron 4 tutorial series. Right now we're going to be playing as France, and I'm going to explain research, and I'm going to go over each different type of research and each category of the different technologies you can unlock in this game. So you'll notice we have a flask in the top left. That's our research slot notification. I'll go ahead and click on the flask button though, because this is the other way you can get to your research slots other than the notification. So we have 3 here available to research a new technology, and up in the top left you see we got a few research bonuses and debuffs. Like this one makes our land doctrine research times a lot longer, which is pretty bad. But down here you see we got our 3 slots, and we need to be researching something at all times in this game. So how it works is over time you will research a new technology, and when you complete it, you have 30 days to select a new one, and however many days go by, those will transfer into the technology you research. So say you complete researching Industry 1, the technology called Industry 1, that's it's a fake research I just made up. You'll have 30 days, and let's say you wait 28 days and you research Gun 1. 28 days of research will automatically go into Gun 1, so you won't lose any time wasted unless you go past 30 days. Then it would be a waste of time. So continuously update your technology slots, people. So we're going to click the top one first. Now, it looks a little confusing. We got a lot of buttons here and a lot of different options, all with crazy, ridiculous amounts of information. But all it really is a timeline and a few options you have as the game goes by. So what I mean by that is yellow blocks are researchable, green are already researched, but one big thing to keep in mind is don't research anything ahead of time. As you can see in the top right, it's 1936. Let's say I was to research this 1938 technology. It would take a whole year and like a half, 494 days. That's an insane amount of time. That would be a waste to research that, because it's 2 years ahead. So we get a penalty from researching a future technology. So stick to the timeline and most of the time, and you'll be a-okay. So we're going to go over each one of the tabs. We're in the infantry tab. These provide new upgrades to all infantry variants, and it provides upgrades to our mobile infantry, meaning like our dudes in trucks. We got to upgrade those. Then we got our spec ops trees down here, which include Marines, Mountaineers, Paratroopers, and some upgrades to all 3 of those division types. So now we're going to move on to support companies. These are basically small groups of men you tack onto your divisions that upgrade it in some ways. So for instance, if I were to give an infantry division a recon company, it would give them greater speed. Here's the armor tab. It goes from light to medium to heavy, and you'll see there are yellow blocks in the already researched tanks. These are variants, so this would be a light tank destroyer variant of the H-35 tank that we already researched. So if you want to specialize your army and make variants of vehicles, you are free to, but typically you won't do it as much. So now we'll move to the artillery tab. Just upgrades for anti-tank, anti-air artillery, and all those types of weapons. Then we have these 3 doctrines. I'm going to click through them so you can see them all. They all look similar. All they are the methods of combat for your land forces, your naval forces, and your air forces. So a method of combat, in my book, what it means is the doctrine is essentially how your men fight, what your specialty is. So if you keep in mind Russia in the actual World War II, they were big on just throwing men, like having massive numbers and overwhelming with their amount of soldiers, rather than having effective weaponry. So Germany was all about mobile warfare, such as tanks and blitzkrieg, and you'll see there is a tree called mobile warfare and one called mass assault. These are basically the different forms of attack and defense you can employ on your army. So as France, we're on the tree of grand battle plan. You can only research one doctrine tree at a time, because if you try to switch it, like let's say I could freely switch to superior firepower, but when I click research, anytime you're going down a tree and you swap a tree, it removes all of your bonuses from the other tree. So you're basically back at square one. So I'm not going to do that anytime soon. I'm just going to stick with my doctrine I'm on right now. So that's land doctrines. We're on basically the default one. Then we got the naval models here. And at the bottom, we got some upgrades to naval invasion capacity, meaning how many divisions we can send in a naval invasion, and some upgrades to how powerful a naval invasion is. So please watch this if you're planning on doing naval invasions. You might have some restrictions or difficulties taking islands or taking territory overseas if you don't upgrade this. Here's naval doctrine. So what we're on is fleet and being. It means we're focused on strong fleets with battleships and capital ships. Someone like Germany would use trade interdiction because they've got their subs. They're good at sinking their trade convoys of the Allies. And America would do like a base strike over here, which is like the carrier focus. So it's all about upgrades for your aircraft carriers. Then we got our air models, and you'll notice we have variants just like the tank models, but these are aircraft carrier variants. So these are the ones, these variants, these rectangles, these are what you put on your aircraft carriers. Then we got our air doctrine. I'm not going to explain each one, but they're basically same as the other doctrines, upgrades to certain strategies. Then we got our electronics engineering tab. This is all the goodies like nukes, spies, decryption, radars, computers, radios, all that good stuff. This is one of my favorite tabs to play with in the game. Then we got industry. Now this is one of the most important ones in the game. This upgrades your construction, your synthetic oil refinery upgrades, and it has all your production bonuses. So do not take this tree lightly. This is a really important one. It can increase the amount of resources you earn, and it can increase how efficient your production and your military factories are. So with that being said, I think we're going to start with some of the industry technologies. Construction one looks pretty good. Got some nice repair and construction bonuses, so I got to go with that one for my first technology. 190 days, cool. I'll click research. Now we got 2 more to take care of. Okay, I don't want any synthetic oil yet. Production sounds good. I'll go production. So that'll increase our production efficiency cap. What that basically means is it will make the potential to build more guns at once higher. So it'll basically allow us to make more guns, more vehicles, more boats, whatever, you name it. Whatever's in the production tab, we'll make it quicker with that tech. Then engineering. Now I typically go with this one because it increases research speed. So that's a vital tech. So that should be it for technology. Stay tuned for the next parts in the series. I'm going to be going over trade in the next segment, part 6. And if you've got any questions about technologies and which ones you should go through, depending on what country you're playing as, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you guys. So thank you all for watching and stay tuned for part 6.